Hi, my name is Jason Holland. I've been going to Goodlettsville Pentecostal Church for almost 3 years. I was actually born in Springfield, Missouri. I spent there 3 years. My dad was a pastor in Springfield. Went on the evangelistic field for 5 years with my parents and my brothers, and then wound up taking a church in Detroit, Michigan, and lived there for 5 years. In 1992, we left Detroit, evangelized for a while, and then wound up in West Tennessee in a little town called Henderson. I went 2 years to a community college, and then went 2.5 years to Indiana Bible College in Indianapolis. From there, came back, got married, wound up working part-time for the church. So I was the youth pastor of the church there in Henderson for a couple years after I followed my brother's footsteps. So 2004, went through a divorce, and at that time, wound up stepping down from being the youth pastor. And then from there, the wheels really started to fall off, and wound up leaving the church, wound up with an 8-ball-a-day cocaine habit for almost 3 years. So in a matter of roughly 90 days, I went from a youth pastor, I had owned 2 businesses, 3 different subsidiary businesses as well. Within roughly 90 days, I had left the church, got divorced, and lost everything. So it was the weekend of my birthday in 2005. And took the weekend and was really going to blow it out. Basically 3 straight days, no sleep, and nothing but lots of drugs. There was a moment when I partied a little too hard. And next thing I know, I wind up on the floor, vomiting. Everything's going dark. My heart's about to pound out of my chest. And, I'd done about 9 grams of cocaine and speedballed for 3 straight days. I couldn't talk. I couldn't breathe. The only thing I actually could say in my mind was, God help me. Don't let this be it. But it was at that moment when I know God saved me for a purpose. And through that, it really started me back on the path of trying to get back to center. So I've been very blessed in my life with 3 wonderful children, Kalea, who is 16, Emma, who is 10, and Jack, who is 5. Peyton and I have been married, will be 12 years in November. And it's amazing to see the progress in our marriage from when we started dating and met in a bar and were living outside of everything that God had intended for us to. And now, as we continue to go down this journey together, go down this spiritual path together, it is great to see how much our marriage has grown, how much we actually have in common. And it's not one trying to pull the other one along. It's actually walking hand in hand on a spiritual journey. She is the most loving, kind, patient, ultimately forgiving person I've ever met in my entire life. She stuck by me, stood beside me, and now to see where we've come and to see our children grow up in church and come home after Sunday and talk about what they learned in Sunday school. Now I'm having conversations with my 10-year-old about how she wants to get the Holy Spirit in her life, how she's talking about Bible stories and things that ultimately matter. What's even more exciting than anything, it's not where we started, it's not where we're at today, but the most exciting part is where we're really going to end up as a family, walking this path with God, and then ultimately making heaven our home together as a family. That's the most exciting part. Through this journey, to be honest, I never thought I'd ever have a relationship with God at all. And now, the last few years, my walk with Him continues to grow. And not only grow, I'm at a place now where I wasn't, even before I left the church, from a relationship standpoint with God. I was really good at a lot of what a lot of us do, is that I'm really good with the responsibilities of working in the church and making sure everything's clean and ready to go and all looks wonderful. I just had to have any relationship. And then when life happens, when everything falls apart and everything that you thought you had from a foundation standpoint disappears and crumbles in front of you, it's amazing how fast you can fall. And not only how fast you can fall, but how far you can fall. I grew up in a loving family, and because of my foundation not being there when it fell, of course it fell really far. But now rebuilding that walk with God in a true love relationship, not out of responsibility, not because I have to, but because I want to, because I choose to. Not only has my relationship with God gotten stronger, it's gotten deeper. Before, it was 1,000 miles wide, but only an inch deep. Now it may not be as wide, but it's much deeper. No, I'm not perfect. No, I still have a lot of things to work on, a lot of scars that I will always carry, and you will never get done. It's a continual process of refining and purifying, but I'm a whole lot further where I have been. So the people that are here today, or the people that may be watching this video or watching this online, you just may come off a 3-day bender, or maybe you're like I was, that if you maybe got past the addiction, but you're still hungry for more, you're still not getting everything that you need. It doesn't matter where you're at with the journey. For me, I was spiritually dead. I was almost physically dead through this entire process of walking away from God, but having His resurrection power back in your life. He still wants to have a relationship with us, even though we feel dead, even though we feel completely barren and empty in our souls, and that we've gone too far, we've done too much, that there's no way God can ever come back in and not only love us, but actually ever use us again. It's not true. God is a miracle worker, and not only is He a miracle worker, He wants a relationship with you. Not only does He want a relationship with you, He wants to continue to grow that relationship with you. And when you go from a moment of having no hope, and you go for years of having no hope, and the moment you actually figure out, hey, I am worth saving. God still does love me. I haven't done so many bad things that He's turned His back on me. And having that moment, everything comes in perspective. It just doesn't matter. But whatever you have to give up in the world to come to God, it pales in comparison. It doesn't even matter. It's so non-existent. No, that doesn't mean any of us are exempt. We still have struggles and pains and flaws. We're still wrapped in human flesh. We still have things that we have to deal with every single day. But the faith and hope of God, the resurrection that He can do in your life, what seems dead and gone and buried and lost forever, it's one touch from God away. And it changes everything.